We, the People of Detroit, is dedicated to community coalition building and to the provision of resources that inform, train, and mobilize the citizens of Detroit and beyond to improve their quality of life. As a community-based grassroots organization, We the People of Detroit aim to inform, educate, and empower Detroit residents on imperative issues surrounding civil rights, land, water, education, and the democratic process. For more information, call 844-42-WATER, 844-42-WATER, or email wethepeopleofdetroit.com.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.
When a brown girl child is born, the earth shifts. The sun is at half-mast. The moon waits for her first cry. The ancestors set the table. The flowers turn red as blood. This is your land, continent daughter, with tree trunk legs and branches for arms. This is your soil, black and fertile as your eyes facing an apartheid Jim Crow current past memory. Some of us begin the removal of shackles at birth. We grow into the armor of struggle quickly. We brew courage in our tea, blend bravery into our Sunday dinners. Joanne Watson, you understand nation building is not a part-time job. This dedicated life is sometimes lonely, a vulnerable choice, but it is the only way you know how to operate. You are wired for the movement in your black women bones, even when tired, still fighting, still organizing, still singing morning spirituals. You were born to lead, even in your own family, the eldest of 10 children born to Jefferson and Lestine. You made Damon, Nefertari, Stephen, Maya. Her children always knew she was larger than life. When you are a woman in the movement, you take the children with you on the journey. You bring the babies with you to your college classes. When you travel to Ghana for the first time, it will be with your daughters in tow. When you are a fearless, nationalist thinking mama, mothering never stops with your own babies. 30 godchildren and mentees across the globe. The daughter of a ministering mother is already ordained for good trouble. A seer, a prophetic young student preparing for her lifelong role as servant to her own community. When your purse was snatched in a Farmer Jack parking lot many years ago with your kids' tickets to Run DMC in the purse, you made sure they still got to that concert and even hosted Melly Merrill and the Furious Five in your living room, because queens make it look easy. When you were a single mom, people would tell you what you can't do. Instead, you moved to New York City with all 4 of your C's to do your necessary work with the YWCA, because queens make it look easy. Ghana, Togo, South Africa, where is your heart, Mama Watson? Nurturing spirit, baking melt in your mouth, homemade biscuits. How many hours do you sleep, Warrior Watson, with endless work ethic and blue-collar blood racing through your veins? How do we say thank you for your work, your time, your heart? We know you will never really retire. There is a fire on the path to freedom. There is smoke, there is sacrifice, there are stories of justice, of women, of Tubman, Sojourner, of Angela, Asada, Coretta, and Merle, and Betty, and Queen Mother Moore. Some of us know we are ancient, that our marrow is laced with legacy, that we are here to bring light to our daughters. Sometimes it just takes one woman, a mother, a grandmother, a Spitfire, griot, a sister, the only woman to lead the NAACP's largest chapter. She, daughter of the movement, of Rosa, of Irma. She was a birth that gave birth to possibility for other young activists like me, a true D woman, frontline Fatima, Nigerian blood, councilwoman, leader, truth teller, Joanne Watson, social worker, president of the Anti-Klan Network, sister, inspiration, dedicated to the protection of girls and the voices of women wrapped in West African beauty, regal and resilient. Wake up, Detroit. Wake up, South Africa. Wake up, Cuba. Wake up, small business owners. Wake up, White House. Wake up, reparations. Wake up, teachers. Wake up, women. Wake up, schools. Sleeping is not an option when the Honorable Joanne Watson is in the room.
I'm Joanne Watson. This is your wake-up call. I want to bless all of our city, all of our residents, And thank God the Lord has allowed us to see another day. This is the day the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We're rejoicing right now. Monica Lewis Patrick is in the house. Monica Lewis Patrick, President, CEO, We the People of Detroit, and a sponsor of We Wake Up Detroit, and a wonderful, wonderful co-host. She's whenever she comes in the building, she's a co-host of Wake Up Detroit. She's a co-anchor, and she's a wonderful, gifted, a conscious woman who is on the right side of every issue facing our community. And I wanted to tell somebody who really doesn't know the story of We the People of Detroit. Tell that great story.
Yes, ma'am. Well, good morning to all of our guests and to you, Queen Mother. It's just always an honor to be with you. But for us at We the People of Detroit, it really begins with you. That much of the work that we have seeded at We the People of Detroit stands on the shoulders of you and the Honorable Marianne Mahaffey and our great Queen Mother, Mother Irma L. Henderson, but all of those women, all of those water warrior women that really stood in the brink and were willing to do that deep work of taking a global concept, an international concept, and ensuring that everyone is on a path to clean, safe, affordable water. I just met with the law students from the University of Michigan last week because they're helping us form legislation at the state level, and also have been a part of our team to do research that has actually provided an economic feasibility study to the state of Michigan that there is a pathway for clean, safe, and affordable water.
That's right.
But I had to tell the story that it didn't begin with We the People of Detroit. But it began with those legendary leaders in Detroit that were the architects of the first legislation in the nation that says that there must be a pathway for clean, safe, and affordable water. So I have to give that sort of clarifying context to how we got here. But it was us showing up and being a part of our community and loving our children. And loving humanity.
Yeah.
And it was through the lens of the Black matriarch that you and Queen Mother Mama Neb and then also Professor Gwen Winston began to speak into our souls that we couldn't wait on anybody to come rescue us.
Lord.
That we had to deputize ourselves.
Come on now.
And it lit a fire. I remember you turning your back to Deborah and Cecily and myself as we were whining and crying about all the austerity that had played out in Michigan and specifically Detroit. We were seeing pensions lost and housing foreclosed on illegally and unconstitutionally. We were seeing 8,000 homes shut off per month by our own water department that we were paying. And then we were hearing a narrative, a master narrative of failed Black leadership when we knew something totally different. That we knew that we were subsidizing 40% of the entire state of Michigan to get water.
That's right.
That we knew we had a burden on our back of paying an 83-17 split for the combined sewage overflow.
My Lord.
That we had been under the oppression of a racist judge for over 35 years who used his power illegally to impose contracts, to impose his racist will, and to actually divest from a system that was providing a life-sustaining resource.
That's exactly
So we had to tell the story.
Come on now.
We had to tell the story. And what you told us to do is we better roll up our sleeves and you better go to work.
And
we went to work.
My.
We went to work at We the People of Detroit. Before there was even an institution or an identity as We the People of Detroit, the 5 founders of We the People of Detroit were showing up fighting against mayoral control.
Yes.
We were fighting against losing the investment in public education.
That's right.
We were standing up against what we knew was a raiding of the pension fund.
My Lord.
But the 5 of us coming together, showing up through self-determination, through cooperative work, through leaning into our elders, understanding that we have power and agency.
That's it.
There was birth, We the People of Detroit.
Woo!
Yes, ma'am. So we just
and you started with a vision and a commitment and a heart full of love for your people.
Yes, ma'am.
It wasn't about doing something for your own resume.
No, ma'am.
It was about the people.
Yes, ma'am.
We the people.
Yes, ma'am.
And nobody was paying you.
No, ma'am.
You did it out of love.
No, ma'am.
You did it out of
pocketbook.
You did it out of your own pockets.
Yes, ma'am.
You subsidized what you believed in. You worked and worked some more.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You went without sleep. Had nobody to pay your rent or to pay your utilities or buy gas for your car, but you just did it anyhow for the people.
Yes, ma'am.
for the people.
Well, you know, because a couple of times you paid my rent. So I'm just going to tell the truth and shame the devil. That's how we kept holding on. We had a community that believed in us. We had elders that entrusted us to run the next leg of the race.
And you did it.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
and while doing it, you organized.
Yes.
You organized others, and you wrote books, and you kept data. You went door to door, knocking on doors to get the story from the people themselves. So you weren't doing it for the people, you're doing it with the people.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the only way to organize with people.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you told us. I just laugh about it because my mentees will tell you that we do a Joy and Watson story often. And so one of the things I tell them is that the reward for good work is more work.
That's it.
And so each time we would come and complain, we get an assignment. When we complained to Mama Neb that research and data wasn't being presented and formulated, that really was revealing the evidence that we knew was there around public health impacts, around the psychosocial impacts of just the fear of not having water. And Mama Neb told us, she said, all of you have been to the academy.
My.
All of you are educated. You have degrees. So you organize yourself.
My Lord.
And you begin to do research.
That's it.
And you do data.
That's it.
And then you state what the case is. And we said, what?
And now people come to you for the research.
Praise God. Praise God.
Academic institutions come to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Federal, international institutions come to you because you've done the work.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're still doing it.
But we even in those meetings have to say, hold on, wait a minute. Let us call our mamas. We are not the originators of this. There are architects to this. There are people that actually stood in the gap, and we stand on their shoulders. And so we've been so proud of those moments when we've been able to educate the White House CEQ and bring you in to make sure that they understood that this is one of the architects, along with the late, great Marion Mahaffey and those water warriors. It's been those moments when we've been able to point to the EPA and say, wait a minute, there is policy.
Come on now.
There is a pathway.
Come on now.
And so it's been through legacy and through the sharing of that legacy and those stories. And so we tell our babies, you know, as you tell this story, don't you start with We the People of Detroit. You turn that page back and you remind folks that this is where the legacy begins, and we are a continuation of that.
And honoring legacies is really, I owe everything to those who came before me.
Yes, ma'am.
And I give them, in fact, sometimes I got talked about for giving the history of Coleman Young and
Thank God.
Irma Henderson
Thank God.
regularly at the council table. I couldn't help it.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it was in me.
Yes, ma'am. We miss that.
We
miss it. We miss it so bad.
My.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My.
Yes, ma'am.
We owe. We're not here for ourselves.
That's right.
And because we have been blessed by having some grand leaders come before us,
Yes.
who laid a path of leadership and giving back and the momentum and what it takes to represent.
That's right.
We must serve.
Yes. We owe.
We owe.
We owe. I know I owe. I know that there are not only you and so many elders that have contributed and sown into us. Often we were just talking about before we came on air, my sweet mama.
My.
My grandmothers, both of them, one, was closer to a speakeasy and a liquor house, but she'd hold court just the same and have political talks and spiritual talks in those settings. And then my other grandmother was a church woman.
Hey.
And so everything centered around going to church
You
or
better
getting
say
from
it.
church
You
or
better
trying to
say
get
it.
somebody else to church.
Yes.
But what I loved about all of those women is they operated in their agency.
That's it.
Unafraid, unapologetic.
That's right.
Love God, love their community, love their family.
That's right.
And that's what they taught us, is that it's not only the family that lives in our house, it's the family of our community.
That's right.
And so I just thank God for your leadership. I thank God for you continuing to water our plant, making sure that we, the people of Detroit, is being guided the right way, that we're making good decisions. We always try to check in with our mamas.
You do.
To
You
make
do.
sure we're doing the right thing the right way.
Yes.
So sometimes it's not even about the good work you're doing, but it's the intentions behind the work
That's
you're doing.
right.
And so those are some of the lessons that I've learned from you, to continue to check in, to continue to understand that there is power not only within me, but outside of me.
I'm so proud of you recognizing the power that's in your hands. Because I have never heard of a community organization like We the People of Detroit that has actually taken on the responsibility, the accountability of negotiating with the water department to make them do right. And the people have talked about the water department.
Yes, ma'am.
They've been wringing their hands about water and fussing. But to actually go in and steer a narrative that says you sit at the table with equal opportunities to talk and help shape policy.
Yes.
for our people,
Yes.
and to demand respect
Mm.
and recognition for who you represent. Because so you, in a very real way, organizations like We the People of Detroit are representing the people of Detroit more than elected officials right now.
Oh, wow.
I'm calling it as I see it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I deeply respect that. We see ourselves as
There's
public
nobody
servants.
in any other position who is sitting down with a major utility that we're supposed to own,
Right.
the water department, telling them that you need to make sure the water is not shut off
That's right. That's
for
right.
our people.
That's right.
We have senior citizens. We have families with children. We have people on medication. People need, and everybody must have water. It's a human right.
Yes.
Can't survive for more than 3 days without water. And you have taken that homage, and We the People of Detroit has done it at layers. It's you, it's Cecily, it's your researchers, your theorists, University of Michigan,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter Hammer at Wayne State University. You got layers of people sitting around the table,
Yes.
letting them know that they're with the people.
Yes. Well, once again, going back to your playbook, that part of being a stateswoman is understanding that I'm a public servant.
My Lord.
I'm a public servant. I'm not an elected official, but I'm a public servant.
Come on, somebody.
And so in being a public servant, I have to always center community. What's going to be best for my community? What gives my community the greatest economic and political advantage to be able to get the services they deserve? And so one of the things that Mama Gwen Winston told me in 2018, she said, Monica, you got to stop spending so much time talking to activists and other people that already believe in what you're talking about. You got to talk to people that don't believe in
My
what you're
Lord.
saying, that are totally opposed
That's right.
to ensuring that people have access to water. And so through those conversations and relationships, much of what was built in terms of our credibility, not only in terms of our community at the grass roots, but it was about us going outside the bubble of Detroit and Michigan.
That's right.
So as we built relationships nationally and internationally, as we were able to put together about 67 researchers and experts from across the country.
Say that.
As we were able to center our community in citizen science.
Talk about it.
So it wasn't researchers telling us, it was our community telling us what we needed researchers to demonstrate.
And now you have the White House calling you.
Yes, ma'am.
The White House.
Yes, ma'am.
You have United Nations dealing with you, organizing with you, putting together movements with you.
Yes, ma'am.
The National Organization of Nurses working with you because water is a health issue.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so what we know is by those relationships and building a deeper understanding, because even with your policymakers, sometimes they're so removed from the issue that they need that ground front line context.
Yes.
And so that's what we've tried to bring. Continue to bring our community voices. We've invested in the Michigan Water Table.
Come on now.
Bringing more leaders from Detroit
Yes.
to that table.
Yes.
So that it's not just we, the people of Detroit, saying what's so. It's our community saying
Come
what's
on now.
so. And then what we found ourselves in this moment of really pushing us outside of our comfort zone.
Yes.
We are meeting with farmers. We're meeting with white mothers in more conservative and rural communities.
Yes.
But what we know is
Because
we
they have water issues too.
They have water issues.
Yeah, they do.
And when you said to us, deputize yourself.
Come on now.
And then I began to stretch myself to have these conversations.
Yes.
What I realized is there was a common element.
Come on now.
And so we stepped into that common element. So when I talk to mothers that are in Oscoda, Michigan,
Come on now.
and their babies are being born with birth defects from exposure to toxins like PFAS,
Yes.
we had a commonality.
My
Because
Lord.
I'm concerned about my babies.
That's right.
And them not having either clean water or any water.
That's hey.
And so when I would share that story and that mother would share her story, a connection would happen.
Go ahead.
And so since that time, I've gone to Oscoda. Those people have come to us. We've paid for them to come to national and regional conferences to connect our stories.
Yes.
The same has happened with farmers. Mama Gwen told me to go out in this far part of Howell, Michigan. I get out in the woods. Everybody back there, nobody looks like me. It's a room full of white men, and they're all farmers.
My.
And so I get in the room, and I hear one of them whisper to the other one, "Who brought the black girl?"
My
And
Lord.
I said, "Oh, this is going to be interesting."
Oh my.
And of course, my cell phone wasn't working as the further I went out.
Mercy.
And so we get in the meeting and we start talking, and the gentleman that had invited me, he introduced me and had me start talking. Well, what I had learned from you is you never start with your problem in
That's
these
right.
kinds of conversations. You start with their problems,
That's it.
their issues. And what I had done, I had researched and found that the runoff from farms actually had increased the cost to farmers by over 258%.
Wow.
That their cost had gone up since 2008 for the chemicals that they need to protect themselves from getting penalties and
Yes,
fines and
yes.
permit violations. And so when I started with that conversation, one of the gentlemen said, yeah, that's why everything's so high. I can't afford that.
Wow.
And I said, yes, sir, and you have a water affordability issue.
Go ahead.
And we had a great
We're
conversation.
connected.
We're connected.
My,
and so
my.
just thank God for those teachings. Thank God for us learning to listen,
Yes.
to be obedient. And then in our obedience, we've been able to position ourselves at tables that make decisions. And so even with Mr. Brown, what we often have been able to do just recently, we were telling our team, we're coming up on a year for this Detroit Lifeline. This started in May of last year. But we've been able to advance and improve the number of people in the household from 3 to 4. We've been able to get Mr. Brown to agree in the water department that they must start at a rate that's affordable.
That's right.
So he's taken the talking points of the activists, and he started at 1.8%
Yes.
of a person's income. We say that it should be no more than 2.5 to 3.5.
That's right.
That's based on your research, your leadership, and the international standard.
Yes.
If you include sanitation, it should be no more than 4.7%.
That's right. Go ahead.
Of a person's income.
Go ahead.
We know in Detroit that Detroiters are paying anywhere from 10 to 25% of their income to access water. And so being able to once take all of our research and all of our data and all of your work and your leadership and that of so many others, and at this moment, he's able to stand on it and say, oh, yeah, Detroit wants to go in this pathway. And so one of the things we had to halt them on is they were packaging the Detroit Lifeline as the first water affordability plan in the nation. Well, we, the people of Detroit, had to stop everything and say, no, it is not. It may be a new and improved version for you, but it is not the first one.
Come on now.
And so we were able to give that history. We were able to give that context. We were able to hold up bad messaging coming out of the city on that issue. We actually sent into them a statement from our communications team as to what they should be saying in this moment. In terms of true reconciliation would mean that you'd have to admit past harms.
That's right.
You haven't done that yet.
That's right.
So we're helping them shape that message.
That's right.
The other thing we talked to them about is this allocation of additional 1,125 gallons.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like a lot of water until you break it down to the daily usage.
That's right.
Well, the daily usage, what they are allocating under the Lifeline plan, and this is where we're pushing, Mr. Brown, is that 37.5 gallons per day is woefully low when you compare it to the national standard. The national average at the low end is about 50 to 55 gallons per person.
Oh, my.
And at the mid to high level, it's 80 to 120 gallons per person.
My.
So we cannot say that this is a water affordability plan. It's still in the water assistance category.
And there's a difference between water assistance and water affordability. And we have to help educate people understand that if somebody's talking about water assistance, that means nothing.
That's right.
It's water affordability.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
Water affordability means that people can afford water.
That's right.
Which is a human right.
That's right.
In an area surrounded by the Great Lakes like Michigan, the last thing people should be without is water.
Right. That's right. That's right. We say it often. You cannot be the Great Lakes state and still perpetuate these everlasting harms. You cannot be a leader of the free world, which we often as a country tout. One of the most industrialized countries in the world, but you still can't deliver this basic service.
That's right.
And what we found as we were going into COVID, 15 million Americans were struggling with the inability to afford water and access water.
Come on now.
You got the Navajo Nation right now pleading their case before the federal government to be able to just access water on tribal lands.
My.
So even things that we treated and agreed to hundreds of years ago, we're still breaking treaties and not providing basic services.
That's right.
So we're still fighting. But what we're telling our folks, we're closer than we've ever been.
My.
We're closer than we've ever been.
Say it.
Because all of that legendary work, all of what you and others have sown into this moment to be here a quarter of a century later.
My Lord.
And then talking to Baltimore, and Baltimore say, we got this from Detroit.
Say it.
And then be on the phone with Chicago, and Chicago say, we did it because Detroit was saying this is what needed to be done.
My.
To be on the phone with Philadelphia. I actually did an interview a couple of weeks ago with Baltimore to tell them, be careful about consolidation. Y'all be careful about regionalization, because what we know for black and brown folks, this means that as they consolidate, they're extracting and divesting from you
That's
to
right.
be able to divert those funds
There
somewhere
you
else.
are. There
and
you
we
are.
know that some people need this, but it can only be done with an equitable agreement.
Equity.
It can only be done with two parties knowing that this is in their best interest.
That's right.
We're never going to agree that the Great Lakes Water Authority agreement is good for us when we know we should be getting $215 million for this agreement.
That's
and
right.
we're only getting a dismal $33 million. And so what I say to folks, until we're ready to turn the page on that, we will continue to not have equitable water rates. We will continue to see shutoffs. We will continue to be burdened with water debt and subsidizing a region.
And water is the new gold.
Yes, it is.
We need to recognize what water is globally.
Yes. Yes.
It's the high point of treasure
Yes.
as is viewed by nations around the world,
Yes.
including the United States of America, which doesn't do a whole lot of talking about it. But look at the investment.
That's right.
And water. Look at the number of companies that are bottling their bottled water is now the greatest selling beverage in the United States of America.
Yes.
People, it's not Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola. It's water.
Yes. 85% of the bottled water that's consumed in the country comes out of the Great Lakes.
Come on now.
85%.
That's our Great Lakes, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so we have to keep pointing back to what's so, because we know infrastructure is invisible to most people until you need it.
That's right.
You know, we're seeing it play out right now with our electric grid. And what I have to often remind people, you can't create electricity without water.
That's right.
Water is number 2 in terms of the resources needed for electricity.
That's right.
So even as we're talking about electrical vehicles, it's not an accident that we were divested from to create this moment for why others can come into our city.
That's right.
And get tax abatements and access our riverfront. It's about them being able to extract from us our major resource, which was our water the whole time.
That's right.
I had to remind a class at the University of Michigan, the impetus for the bankruptcy was to seize control over the largest municipal asset in Northern America, which is the Detroit Water and Sewage
That's
Department.
exactly right.
And then I remind them, too.
How are you going to be bankrupt when you have a $60 billion asset called the Water Department?
Talk about
The
it.
bankruptcy was never real. It was always something that was manufactured
That's right.
in order to benefit a few.
That's right.
It
Well, the
was
word
just-
you
but-
put in our vocabulary was contrived.
That's right.
So we often say it was contrived.
Yes, it was.
And then we tell them about the what they want to talk about, the grand bargain. We call that the grand theft. Because what we know is what you've said to us. In the beginning, we knew that there was nothing proper, legal, or ethical about what they were doing. And then even as they're getting ready to celebrate the consent agreement and the turning of the page, and of course they like to talk about that we are now moving in this new positive trajectory, I often tell those students, you can never get to this promised land, to this new Detroit that they want to promote, stepping on the backs of the people that have
Can't do
sacrificed
it.
the most. It won't happen.
No.
God won't allow it.
That's
It
right.
will never prosper
That's right.
without us.
That's right.
And so it's built on our backs. As you talk about they talk about the music and the swag and the art and the culture. It's Detroit.
That's it.
And it's black Detroit
Hey.
that brought that to be.
Hey, you better say it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You better
ma'am.
say that. We, the people of Detroit, President, CEO Monica Lewis Patrick is our very special guest, and our co-host, and our anchor, and our sponsor. We thank God for we, the people of Detroit, doing such a wonderful work
thank
for
you,
our
Lord.
people, not just in Detroit, around this region, around the state, around this nation, around the world, recognized around the world as a stand-up leader for water. Not just water accessibility, water affordability. Everybody ought to have access to clean, affordable water. Everyone.
Yes. Well, the power is in the we
Yes.
for us. It's in the collective. It's
Say it.
in the team. It is in the bringing together of others, understanding the brilliance of so many community members.
My Lord.
I often talk about those big mamas and babas on the
That's
block.
it, that's it.
The ones you see standing on the porch, they are translators, they are communicators.
That's right.
They are navigators. They are a critical part of validation.
That's right.
We don't go into any community without checking in with the elders that are a part of that community. Making sure we're on the right path.
That's
making
right.
sure we're talking to the right people. But I also tell my researchers, you will be amazed at the doors that are open to you if you will respect the genius that's in community.
Ooh, say
You'll
that.
be amazed.
You say that.
They will shepherd you. They will protect you. They will guide you. And then you also need to get those friendships and relationships before you need them.
That's right.
So don't just show up when you need your research project.
Oh, hello.
Or you need a person to give you an interview. Show up serving in your community
That's
before
right.
then. And
That's
so
right.
I just consider myself to be so blessed because I'm doing what I always wanted to do, was serve. I didn't know
Amen.
how. I didn't know what God was going to do. I started out in social worker. As a social worker, I was a counselor and a therapist for about 12 years, always doing something in my community in some way of service because my mother expected it.
Come on now.
So
That's
she,
right.
till this day, at 78 years old, is still serving in her
I love
community.
it.
And when
Love
I go
it.
home, I have to serve with her in my community. And so it's an expectation. It's not something where I am the gift, but I am part of the giving.
Say it.
And part of that giving is such a blessing.
My Lord.
I get so much back in terms of some of the people we serve. We never see them again.
My
but we
mind.
know we planted a seed.
That's
we
right.
made an investment.
That's
and
right.
so we just give God all the glory, all the praise, because to work with my friends, my sisters, to be able to serve with our children
Yes.
and our community members, to be able to pick up the phone and call you and get that counsel, that shepherding, that keep on going, girl, you all right. All of that is a super blessing to be a part of. And so I just thank God for the we at We the People of Detroit.
We thank God for you, and we are going to take a short break right now, and we shall return right after this. Wake up, Detroit.
This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman. I am here to address all of your complaints and concerns. If you need assistance regarding city services, please contact my office at 313-224-6000 or contact us via email at ombudsman@detroitmi.gov. This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Matter. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. We are living through unprecedented times with a global pandemic now approaching its third year. As a result, the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund was created. This fund, administered by the state of Michigan, is designed to help homeowners cope with pandemic-related hardships, such as delinquent property taxes. To see if you qualify, please visit. Call 313-388-9799 or email taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
We, the People of Detroit, is dedicated to community coalition building and to the provision of resources that inform, train, and mobilize the citizens of Detroit and beyond to improve their quality of life. As a community-based grassroots organization, we, the People of Detroit, aim to inform, educate, and empower Detroit residents on imperative issues surrounding civil rights, land, water, education, and the democratic process. For more information, call 844-42-WATER, 844-42-WATER, or email wethepeopleofdetroit.com.
Detroit? I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call. Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and we're back with Monica Lewis-Patrick, who is our co-host, our anchor, and our sponsor for this wonderful, wonderful session. We've been talking about the history, the legacy of We the People of Detroit. It didn't just get started out of the windmill of somebody's mind. They did some work.
Yes, ma'am.
Work produced We the People of Detroit. Work organizing, helping somebody, enabling, fortifying, lifting up, fighting for.
Yes, ma'am.
Fighting for. I remember rallies that you led people to Lansing to stand up and fight at the state capitol. I remember a huge thousand field rally at Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church on West Grand Boulevard in Grand River, in which we organized people to stand up and to fight back against illegal referendums that were taking away our rights.
Yes, ma'am. And even then, Council Member, we have to talk about it and really give honor to the backdrop of those stories. It was your leadership that compelled Deborah and I to take some time off and really dedicate ourselves to getting the last, couple of tens of thousands of signatures to get the referendum on the ballot around emergency management.
And you did that. It was a lot of work. People don't even recognize.
But it was community, and it was the ability to use your voice and your validation, to use the Honorable Congressman John Conyers. He was a critical part of using his office, using his voice to mobilize people, to validate that people needed to show up, that they needed to come out. And, of course, we took off 3 weeks before the Christmas holiday. You told us it'd be a good time to make it happen on January 2nd.
Come on now.
And we thought, oh, my goodness. People are not going to show up after the new year on January the 2nd, but they did.
Yeah, they did.
It was a packed-out house. Some of our congressional leaders flew back into town
sure did.
because it was that important. You had some major preachers and celebrities show up to that session.
I remember at one point I turned around because I was sitting on the front row, and something told me to turn around. I turned around and scanned the room, and at the back door was Bishop Marvin Wine. I said, oh, Bishop Marvin Wine is there. Come on out.
Yes, ma'am.
And go to the piano.
You still did.
My grandma called it the piano. Come to the piano. He started playing, amen, playing and singing.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And it was a celebratory moment because it had been somewhat somber. People were fearful, they were concerned, and rightfully so. But once again, you pointed us back to our power as a community, as a collective. Yes, we do.
We have power, and people sometimes need to be reminded that when people come together, it creates a synergy. Well, 2 + 2 = more than 4.
Yes, yes.
We're powerful beyond because the Lord is part of that.
Yes, yes.
When you're doing the right thing for the right reason with the right people, you're going to have power that you don't even know is coming.
Yes.
Because it's coming from a higher level.
That's right. That's right. Well, Mama Gwen made us for about a week. We had to, everything we said to her, we had to use the word power. And we were like, what is this exercise? And she said, y'all got to get comfortable with saying
That's
power.
Right. That's right.
Not just saying it to each other, but saying it in rooms where you're the only person in the room.
That's right.
Talking about power.
Come on now.
And she said, and unapologetically
That's right.
saying it.
That's right.
And so I love to say it now. I try to use it as much as I can.
That's right.
Expressing to our babies that they've got to embrace their power.
That's right.
But then understanding you don't have to lean into you lean into the we, the
That's
collective,
right.
what's around you, and that the God in you is going to give you all that you need
That's
to
it.
accomplish the goal.
That's it. That's it. Power does not automatically stand with other people. See ourselves as empowered.
Yes.
We need to talk to ourselves. First of all, love ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
Love ourselves and decide we're worth it.
I'm reminded of David, who told us that he had to learn to encourage himself in
That's
the
it.
Lord.
That's it.
And so I just love, when the Holy Spirit will bring to my remembrance, remember when council member told you to deputize yourself? Remember when Mama Neb said you had all that you needed to? And so I have to give myself a pep talk.
My
and
Lord.
I tell our babies, I don't go into anything already comfortable. A lot of times I'm nervous. My stomach is quivering.
Yes.
My heart is beating.
Same.
But I lean into those words, to those seeds, to that affirmation, to the things that you've said. Girl, you could do it. Oh, I see you can
do it. And the
it.
power is really best understood when we look at some of the people in our past whom we deem to be most honorable. Honorable does not come from being elected. There are
That's
many
right.
elected people who are not honorable at all. Help me, Holy Ghost.
Say it, Queen Mother.
Who is honored more than Mother Rosa Parks? Never elected to anything.
Yes.
But honorable.
Yes, she is. Yes,
Revolutionary.
she is. The ancestor.
Just a magnificent example of African womanhood
Yes.
and a spiritual woman.
Yes.
When she joined the ancestors, she had the 23rd Psalm open on her chest. In touch with the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. When you look at the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he was never elected to anything.
That's right.
He didn't have any big bank account. Harry Belafonte put his children through college without ceremony. Did it
Yes.
quietly.
Yes.
But he did what he did for the people.
Yes. Still
Starting with-
serving.
for serving
Yeah.
for the people, because he understood, and he was at the White House also for the signing of civil rights laws, and was recognized by the highest leader in this land as somebody who needed to negotiate
Yes.
on behalf of people.
Power.
Understood power. There are avenues to power that do not require being elected to anything.
That's right.
It's understanding who you are, loving yourself, loving your people, and
Yes.
working, organizing.
Yes.
That's what empowers a neighborhood. That's what empowers a community.
And even as you're saying that, I'm reminded of Mother Ella Baker.
My.
Her understanding, her power, and
Yes.
her agency was in sowing in and nurturing that next generation
That's right.
of leadership.
Student
Oh,
Nonviolent
my
Coordinating
God.
Committee.
Yes, what a legacy.
With her badge of it. She was lowly paid by the NAACP.
Wow.
Lowly paid.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
But still,
See,
to
they
this day,
didn't pay anybody a whole lot of money. They sure enough didn't pay women a lot.
I'm sure. I'm sure the patriarchy is real.
Hey.
It's real.
But she had a love.
Yes.
And she was also one who understood how to help implement her skills and her training in young people and then let them go and
Yes.
run with it.
Yes.
She didn't try to control it. She let them go once they had all she had. She said, run. Run on.
Yes. And still to this day, her legacy is nurturing the next generation
That's right.
and the next generation. And that just still brings me back to you and Mama Neb and Mama Gwen. That was one of the things you told me when I shared with you that the leadership was wanting me to take on the presidency of We the People of
Yes.
Detroit. And you said you start day one looking for who's going to take your place.
My Lord.
And start your succession planning day one. And it has been one of the best things that you've ever said to me, because oftentimes in black organizations and especially black leadership, we never get to see the continuation of our work.
Well, that's because many overstay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There ought to be a certain, and that comes from your spiritual connection. You stay a while and then you move on.
That's right.
Nobody should be staying in a position for forever.
That's right. That's right.
You should be preparing somebody to take your place, making sure they know more than you.
That's right.
Bless them with skills and strategies and awareness and an ABC plan, so that they can move into position with authority and with respect, and then you sit and be the person who can advise if needed,
That's right.
but not running it.
Yes.
I think you ought to have a particular time to be in a position, and then you plan your succession,
Yes.
plan your successor, plan your move, your transition on, and that is the way you operate.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I thank God for that wisdom, and we leaned into it heavy in 2016.
Excellent.
And we've been working that plan ever since. Now we have 19 contractors and staff.
Excellent.
3 full-time staff. But all of our new babies are 35 and under.
I love it.
And so I'm just so grateful for that coaching, because now it gives us the ability and the self-permission to begin to start stepping back.
That's right.
And people are shocked that in the middle of all that is happening and progressing
Yes.
around water affordability, that we are in full-fledged succession planning. And what I'm saying to them is that we knew that we would run our leg of the race.
Yes.
But we also were coached and advised, and thank God for that wisdom, that we knew that we had to trust that God has somebody to run the next leg
You
of
better
the race.
say it.
But I'm just so proud to sort of see We the People 2.0,
My,
as
my,
we
my.
call them. We are excited that we're right now in the middle of moving from a 4-week summer program. As a matter of fact, last week we launched our all year round program.
I love it.
So we will have 10 young people that we will be stipending and training to
Excellent.
take on leadership in
Excellent.
the community as young people, as leaders, and in their teens.
Yes.
So that as they matriculate through school, that they'll have these tools, they'll have these resources,
Yes.
but they'll also have the undergirding to go forward. And then we're excited because a couple of our staff or teammates are expecting.
I love it.
So we're claiming We the People 4.0.
Go ahead,
That
go
we are
ahead.
birthing water warriors at We the People of Detroit, literally.
Praise God, praise God. And that's the only way to go.
Yes, ma'am.
You see, because leadership succession means that there will never be an end.
That's right.
It means you're planning your future from the inside out.
Yes.
It means you are honoring and respecting those who have laid the path, but you're also recognizing that no one stays forever.
That's right.
So
That's right.
as they move on, somebody's already prepared
Yes.
to step in and take
Yes.
the helm.
And I thank God too for understanding too that that it is bigger than us.
Yes.
And that we talk to our babies too, that even if the box or the container of We the People goes away,
Yes.
that the values,
My Lord.
that the legacy of sowing into people
Say it.
is our legacy. So I don't want anybody to get stuck on a name or a building or
That's
thinking
right.
this is the institution. You are the institution.
You better say
You
it.
are the container, and what we're investing in is building with our babies in our community
That's
to
right.
create a lasting legacy that we have all that we need.
That's right.
That God has prepared us for this moment.
That's right.
And that we will not only survive, but we will thrive.
Come on now.
And so we've been talking right now over the last 4 years with young people from Flint and Cleveland,
Excellent.
Toledo, Detroit.
Excellent.
And we've created something called the Great Lakes People of Color Water Policy Center
My,
in
my.
Idlewild, Michigan.
Go ahead.
And so this is our third year.
Idlewild.
Idlewild.
Our black resort.
Historic Idlewild.
Come on now.
And so it's sacred ground. We want to protect it.
Yes.
We want to make sure that it's a safe place for black bodies to commune with nature. We've invested in lakefront property, but what we're also investing in is working with young folks so that they will begin to protect Idlewild. So it's not just learning what you need to protect the urban core, but what we need to protect anywhere where we are.
And many of our young people may not even recognize that Idlewild has an historic level of black leadership
Yes.
as part of its legacy.
Yes.
Many of those who are leaders in education, in medicine, in housing, in law. There was a period when Detroit had the largest number of black doctors and black attorneys in the nation.
Wow.
This was the mecca for
Yes.
the middle class. And then when organized labor became a reality and folks began working in large numbers with the big three automakers, Detroit became the home of the largest black home ownership. Many of those people became investors in Idlewild.
Yes.
Regularly go. Idlewild had the first black ski club.
Yes. Yes.
Had the first black groups who were connected for just simply resorting
That's right.
because they were not welcome in other resorts, so they built their own.
That's right. That's right.
They had their own hotel. They had their own coming together, and they connected. These were people who were superintendents of black school districts around the area.
That's right.
They were doctors. They were nurses. They were social workers, but they came together, and they owned,
Yes.
and they had pleasure, and they were protected against evil and impurities that would not honor or respect them. Idlewild was a safe place.
Yes, ma'am.
And it has a deliberate, deeply rooted black legacy that needs to be recognized.
It does. It's sacred. It really is, just like Detroit. And so what we've been able to do in Idlewild is take our babies there, one, to recharge, to disconnect
Yes.
from all of just the electricity and the stresses that happen when you're in an urban core.
That's true.
But to be able to get them into Idlewild, one of the things we found is that all of our babies were coming from communities where water crises were occurring,
Yes.
and there had been water trauma. They wouldn't touch the water. They wouldn't go near it. We could only get them in boats and kayaks.
My Lord.
We brought in a young black woman from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She's a marine biologist.
Wow.
She's a scuba diver, But her unique ability is that she has filmed the trail of sharks from the continent of Africa as they swim the same passage,
The Middle Passage. My Lord.
And so that was her gift and her talent, along with being a scientist. We brought her in for a part of being this experience with our babies. Now they're super excited about science and filmmaking.
Excellent.
We brought in a sister who's a part of the National Park Service.
Yes.
She's also writing a book about the Buffalo Soldiers
My.
and a children's book about how the National Park Service started,
Yes.
which was with Black cowboys.
Say it.
And so we brought her in to share with them the story and legacy, but to also begin to show our young people all the career paths that touch water.
Sure.
We also talked about the sacredness of water.
Yes.
That water has a spirit.
Yes.
That's a part of every spiritual practice that you can think of, or every religion that you can think of. They use water in ceremony.
That's
as
exactly
part of
right.
that.
That's
Being
exactly
able to
right.
teach our babies about the sociology of water.
My.
The policies that connect with people either having water or not having
That's
water.
right.
And so as we bring these babies together, they are uniting, they're understanding, they're building political power, and we're not waiting until they are in electoral ages.
That's
that
right.
They can build power right now.
Right now.
As 12, 13, and 14 year
You
olds.
better say it.
Yes, ma'am. So
I
thank
love
you.
it. I love it. And water is at the center.
Yes.
Water is at the center.
Yes, it is.
It creates a synergy of power and understanding and humanity that has been a great catalyzer for we the people of Detroit. So I want to salute you, Monica Lewis Patrick, for being at the helm of this great community-based organization that has been built on the promises that our people have a right to be respected,
Yes, ma'am.
they have a right to be recognized, and they have a right to have access to water
Yes.
as an affordability. Of course, you know, if I had my way, people wouldn't pay for water at all.
I know.
But I don't think man didn't create water.
That's right.
Because in the beginning,
Say it.
the Spirit of the Lord hovered over the face of the waters.
Yes, it did.
In the beginning, the Spirit of the Lord
Mm.
hovered over the face of the waters.
Yes.
And then the Lord said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Man didn't make water.
That's right.
Man didn't make air. God has given us air and water, and people ought to have access to water because we are here as a part of humanity.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Queen Mother, can we also just make sure that the family knows that we still need people to sign up for the Lifeline?
Oh, please give them the information.
Yes, ma'am. It's not a perfect policy. I don't think there ever really is a perfect policy, but we know that through community voice, through leadership, through the legacy of your work and others, that we are moving closer to a better policy. And so there is about 20,000 spots that are available for people to get assistance right now. We know that there are 60,000 households, almost
My Lord.
40% of the service population that right now are in jeopardy of having their water shut off.
My Lord.
But what we are asking, I'm asking the residents of Detroit to reach out to your family. If it's not you, then we know somebody on your block or at your church
Yes.
needs this help. If you will call Wayne Metro at 313-386-9727, Wayne Metro, and ask them to sign you up for the Detroit Lifeline. Because of community activism and organizing and pressure, we've been able to show the water department that many people were falling through the cracks just because there was a communications gap between Wayne Metro and DWSD.
Yes.
Part of that gap was that by the time you got processed with Wayne Metro and then that information got disseminated to DWSD, it may be a couple of weeks. They've changed that process, and now Wayne Metro can go immediately into DWSD's system and put a shut off on your account.
Excellent.
So that's major progress, and something that would not have happened if communication hadn't happened with community and then been disseminated to the water department.
That's exactly
so
right.
I just thank God
And
for...
this has come as a direct result of organizing,
Yes, ma'am.
advocacy,
Yes, ma'am.
pushing beyond the boundaries,
Yes.
making people listen even when they didn't want to listen, standing up for people who don't always have access to a voice to speak for themselves.
Yes, ma'am. So please call Wayne Metro 313-386-9727, Wayne Metro 386-9727. Ask to sign up for the Detroit Lifeline, and please do it today. We know that usually this time of year, the water department starts shutting water off. We think right now that there is an unwillingness to shut water off because it does two things. It doesn't look like you're truly committed to water affordability.
That's right.
It also doesn't play well if you're seeking funds from the state or the federal government.
That's right.
So the moment that we're in is one where we truly, if we advocate together, we can help the Detroit Water and Sewage Department, but you can also help advance water affordability
That's
for the
right.
state of Michigan.
That's right.
As goes Detroit,
Hey.
so goes the state of Michigan,
right.
so goes the nation.
That's it. That's it. And we don't want anybody to have their water shut off.
That's right. That's right.
We don't want anybody to have their water shut off. So do some homework in your own family,
That's right.
with your own neighbors, with your church members.
Deputize yourself.
Deputize yourself. Ask questions. And if someone's water access is in danger, you be the one. Appoint yourself
That's right.
to be the one to make sure they get on this Lifeline program.
And then we also, we are part of the Water Quality Board for the International Joint Commission of the Great Lakes.
Yes.
We will be coming to the great city of Detroit the
Not-
first week of May.
Come on now.
So I've said to them, you cannot come to my city and not talk to my community.
That's right.
And so we are going to be supporting them. As a matter of fact, I'll have a meeting this evening to be able to make sure that we're getting some of these meetings in the community.
Yes.
So I will be reaching out to folks to make sure, one, that you have the information, that if you have water issues, be it flooding, contamination, issues around affordability, the IJC is not responsible for infrastructure issues directly, but what I can tell you in 2017, when Detroiters showed up
Well-
and talked about what was happening with public health and water shutoffs,
Come on
the
now.
IJC now, in part of their 50-year plan,
Yes.
are talking about water affordability.
Come on now.
So, power concedes nothing without a demand, never has, never will.
Go ahead, Frederick
Detroiters,
Douglass.
when you show up and make the demand, things change.
That's right. That's right. And things must change.
Yes, ma'am.
And many things are changing because of the advocacy and the leadership of we, the people of Detroit.
Thank God.
So we want to thank God for you.
Thank you, Queen Mother.
We appreciate your long distance running on behalf of this issue. You're not in it for a minute.
No, ma'am. I'm in it to win.
Hey, hey, we thank God. We thank God for your sponsorship. We thank God for your wonderful, principled work on behalf of our people, and everybody connected with We the People of Detroit has done a magnificent job. We thank God for all the founders.
Thank you.
Thank God for you as a principled leader, president, CEO. Thank God for those persons who are listening to you right now and are making plans today to call that number. Let's
Yes.
give the number one more time.
313-386-9727. 313-386-9727.
We want to have some people added to that Lifeline list because you've been watching this show and
Yes.
because you have taken on the responsibility of protecting your family members, your neighbors, your church members, your people. Your people have a right to access water. We know that affordable water is something that people have been fighting for decades,
Yes.
and we can make it real if you will make that call on this day on behalf of your people, our people, like we the people. Praise be to God.
And Queen Mother, I'd love to just be able to take a moment and thank the Ombudsman.
Yes.
Mr. Simpson and his office has been exceptional on this issue.
Excellent.
Because one of the issues that we had is that Wayne Metro's contract on this issue is with the state of Michigan.
Yes.
So it's not even directly with DWSD. And there was not a point of entry if community had a complaint. And so we were able to actually bring to the attention of the Board of Water and Sewage commissioners, as well as Mr. Brown, that we needed the ombudsman
That's
in these
right.
conversations.
That's right.
And to the credit of Mr. Simpson, he not only dedicated his own time, but he committed 3 staff persons.
Come on now.
To be in all of these meetings, a series of meetings. And then he's also used his time as a convener to host meetings with leaders. Over
Excellent.
170 leaders joined in a conference call. And so I just want to give some acknowledgement
Yes.
to the intentionality and the service of that office to
I
make
love
sure
it.
that we're moving closer to
I
clean,
love it.
safe, affordable water.
Go ahead, Bruce Simpson.
Yes.
City of Detroit Ombudsman. We love you. God bless you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we love, love, love we the people of Detroit and Monica Lewis Patrick. We thank you for being a part of our wake-up call today. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enables you. The power of God protects you. And the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Wake up, Detroit.
We, the people of Detroit, is dedicated to community coalition building and to the provision of resources that inform, train, and mobilize the citizens of Detroit and beyond to improve their quality of life. As a community-based grassroots organization, we the people of Detroit aim to inform, educate, and empower Detroit residents on imperative issues surrounding civil rights, land, water, education, and the democratic process. For more information, call 844-42-WATER, 844-42-WATER, or email wethepeopleofdetroit.com.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.